The day my CEO parents came to pick me up, I sighed and said, "Forget it, you must prefer the fake daughter over me. If I go back, I'll just be disliked. Let me fend for myself out here." My parents smiled awkwardly and said, "How could that be? You're our own daughter." After getting in the car, I spent the whole ride scribbling and drawing in my little notebook. My mom leaned over curiously and asked, "What are you writing, sweetie?" "I'm predicting in advance how the fake daughter will try to harm me. 1. The bitter flesh scheme, making my parents think I bullied her. 2. Framed me for stealing. 3. My parents repeatedly assured that such things would not happen, until the fake daughter fell down the stairs and falsely claimed that I pushed her. Mom and Dad turned around to hit me, but I calmly checked off the self-inflicted injury scheme on my list. Remembering my words, Mom and Dad immediately withdrew their hands. "Let's check the surveillance footage. If she really pushed you, we'll teach her a lesson." Chapter 1. The fake daughter's crying abruptly stopped, and she shrieked sharply, "Surveillance!" I nodded and pointed at the camera position directly opposite the staircase. Having anticipated potential difficulties, I had strongly urged my parents to install surveillance cameras before returning home, to ensure my innocence. They thought I was making a big deal out of nothing at the time. But who would have thought the surveillance footage would come in handy within just 2 days? But the fake heiress, Mia Smith, had no idea. If she had known, she wouldn't have chosen to fall down the stairs. "Mom, Dad, I never thought you would distrust me so much. It hurts so much. I feel like I'm going to die." Mia Smith clutched her bruised ankle, crying as if her heart were breaking. Mom's tears fell instantly, and Dad quickly picked up Mia Smith, saying urgently, "Let's get to the hospital first." Standing to the side, I asked softly, "Mom, Dad, are we still going to check the surveillance footage?" Mom remained silent, while Dad snapped angrily, "Nancy Smith, have you no compassion at all? Your sister is hurt like this, and you're still fixated on the surveillance footage." Upon hearing this, Mom glared at me with tear-filled eyes. "That's right, Nancy, whether Mia fell by herself or you pushed her, she's injured now. You should care about her. After all, she is your sister. I don't understand why I should care about someone who holds hostility toward me. Besides, falling down 3 steps isn't going to kill her." I sighed, watching as my parents hurriedly slammed the door and left. I sat on the stairs, repeatedly watching the surveillance video, zooming in on the part where Mia Smith fell down the stairs by herself, and saved the screen recording. Lucas Smith came through the door carrying a bag of barbecue, shouting loudly, "Mia, look what your brother brought for you." Lucas Smith looked around but couldn't find Mia Smith. He turned to the nanny and asked, "Auntie, where's my sister?" The nanny pointed in my direction and said, "Young master, your biological sister is right there." Lucas Smith just glanced at me briefly and said to the nanny, "Mia is my only sister. Don't make that mistake again. Where is Mia? Did something happen?" Under Lucas Smith's repeated questioning, the nanny had no choice but to tell the truth. "What, you said Mia fell down the stairs?" Lucas Smith immediately pointed at me. "Was it you who did it?" I opened the surveillance video and placed it in front of Lucas Smith. It was Mia Smith who fell down on her own to frame me, but Lucas Smith threw my phone to the ground. "Enough. If you hadn't come back, Mia wouldn't be so insecure and constantly worried, falling down the stairs. How much pain she must be in." Lucas Smith's eyes welled up with tears. He shot me a resentful glance and had the driver take him to the hospital. I truly hadn't expected that, even with solid evidence to prove my innocence, no one would stand by my side. I can't help but sigh. Blood ties really can't compare to the companionship that grows from childhood. The nanny came over to comfort me, saying that the 2 siblings grew up together and have a strong bond, so I shouldn't be too upset. I shook my head. Why should I be upset? I already expected this anyway. After mentally going through the scenario in advance, when it actually happens, the heart doesn't ache anymore. In the evening, I stood by the window, watching Mia Smith being carried on her father's back, escorted all the way home by her brother and mother. Mia Smith looked up and met my gaze. She smiled triumphantly and said loudly, "Mom, Dad, brother, you promised I'm the one you love the most." Her parents immediately nodded in agreement, saying, "Yes, yes. Of course we love Mia the most. Don't do such foolish things in the future. Even if Nancy comes back, Mom and Dad's love for you won't change." Mom came to my room to discuss transferring me to Mia Smith's class. "With your older sister there, I can feel a bit more at ease. Perhaps there are surveillance cameras installed at home. Recently, Mia Smith hasn't been causing any trouble." And she's even been pretending to be very concerned about me. Even though there were 5 chicken drumsticks on the table, she insisted on putting her portion into my bowl, saying with a concerned expression, "My sister has suffered outside for over a decade because of me. I'm willing to give you my chicken drumstick. I'll just have a bit of the sauce with my rice." Her hypocritical act made me lose my appetite. But my parents and my cheap older brother were completely taken in by her performance. Every time Mia Smith gave me her delicious food, Mom would say approvingly, "Our Mia has really grown up and acts like a proper older sister." Lucas Smith spoke up loudly for her, "Mia, this isn't your fault. Here, have my chicken drumstick." I pursed my lips and asked with a worried expression, "Is the Smith family going bankrupt? Do we have to pass around a single chicken drumstick?" Dad slammed his chopsticks down. "How dare you, Nancy Smith? Mia has already shown you kindness. If you won't appreciate it, that's one thing. But how could you say something so outrageous as the Smith family going bankrupt?" I looked down at the chicken leg in my bowl, covered in chili peppers, and said coldly, "I'm not eating." They never remember that I can't eat spicy food. The table was filled with spicy stir-fries, all of Mia Smith's favorites. Dad thought I was just throwing a tantrum and started yelling angrily. Mia Smith added fuel to the fire, saying, "Dad, my sister hasn't eaten a single bite. Let me serve her another bowl and bring it to her. It doesn't matter if she hits or scolds me. After all, I've taken over more than 10 years of her life. It's only natural that she dislikes me." "Don't go, let her starve." I ended up starving for 2 whole days, until Grandma came to visit and noticed how terrible I looked. She scolded my father, "How heartless can you be? She's your own flesh and blood." Dad quickly explained, "Mom, we've never mistreated Nancy. You tell us yourself. Have we ever mistreated you?" I looked at the sea of red on the dining table and said calmly, "I can't eat spicy food." Dad was stunned. Lucas Smith said carelessly, "Just rinse it in water. Won't that do? Look how pitiful you're acting." "Yeah, I'm not upset at all. It's not like anyone cares about how I feel anyway. Even if I told Mom I don't want to be in the same class as Mia Smith, she still wants me to give it a try." She told me not to be so pessimistic, saying we're all family and Mia Smith would never do anything to harm me. But on the 3rd day of school, I was falsely accused of stealing. "Nancy, you were the only one in the classroom during that time. Did you accidentally take Lily's necklace?" Mia Smith came over and asked with a worried expression. "It wasn't me." I shook my head. But all the students around me looked unconvinced. Transfer students were already prone to being excluded, let alone with Mia Smith fanning the flames behind the scenes. No one had suspected me at first, but Mia Smith kept steering the conversation toward me, sentence by sentence. "I heard she used to be a garbage picker. No wonder she smells so bad. Isn't she Mia Smith's sister? She says she's my sister. But who knows if she really is? The two of them don't even look alike." My parents were afraid that Mia Smith would feel wronged, so they never publicly revealed my identity. As a result, everyone assumed that Mia Smith was their biological daughter, and I was just a distant relative of the Smith family. Hearing this, I replied, "I'm not Mia Smith's sister. It was her mother who switched us, leaving me to wander for 15 years. I have no relation to Mia Smith whatsoever. I am the true daughter of the Smith family." Mia Smith's face grew increasingly pale. She staggered as if about to fall, tears streaming down her face. The next second, I was slapped across the face. "Nancy Smith, I never imagined you would bully Mia like this outside. You disgust me." Lucas Smith looked at me with hatred, then held Mia Smith in his arms and comforted her carefully. His attitude also indirectly influenced the way my classmates treated me. "Do you think Nancy Smith's words are credible? Maybe Nancy Smith is not only a thief but also a liar." "Yeah. If Nancy Smith is Lucas Smith's biological sister, how could Lucas Smith possibly hit her?" Seeing this, Mia Smith said, "Sister, I know you hate me, but Lily's necklace is worth over 100,000. We should investigate this properly first." "Over 100,000? I looked up, somewhat shocked. Lily glared at me and said, "Yes, so hurry up and return it to me. If you don't give it back, I'm going to search your bag." I took out my phone and directly dialed the police. "Officer, my classmate lost over 100,000 yuan worth of items." "Yes, in class 1, grade 1 of the elite high school." From making the call to hanging up, it took less than half a minute. Mia Smith screamed, "Why did you call the police? Over 100,000 yuan worth of items were lost. Shouldn't we call the police? Or perhaps, did you actually see me steal the necklace with your own eyes? Which is why you're so certain you need to search my bag." The police arrived. And so did my parents and Lily's parents. Why did you bring your mom's 100,000 yuan necklace here? Lily's mother said angrily. Lily glanced at Mia Smith, and being loyal, she didn't betray Mia Smith. Instead, she firmly insisted that I was the one who stole it. I took out my small notebook, checked off, false accusation, then looked up at my mom and asked, Mom, didn't you say the bad things I imagined wouldn't happen? Mom was momentarily stunned. Then she put her hands on my shoulders and said with certainty, That's right, my daughter has everything she needs. There's no reason she would steal from others. Feeling trusted for the first time, I couldn't stop my tears from welling up in my eyes. But at Lily's strong insistence, the police still searched my bag and actually found her necklace inside. The whole room erupted in an uproar. My father suddenly turned around and slapped me across the face. It was harder than when Lucas Smith hit me, and my ears were ringing. He trembled as he pointed at the necklace, his lips quivering. Didn't you say you didn't steal it? Then tell me, what is that? Lucas Smith said sarcastically. Nancy Smith, haven't you gotten rid of the bad habits you picked up outside yet? Nancy, did you take it? Compared to my father's slap, the doubt and disappointment in my mother's eyes hurt my heart even more. The police stopped my father, saying no fingerprints of mine were found on the necklace, and that he shouldn't be so quick to accuse his own child. Mia Smith exclaimed loudly, Oh, no wonder there's a pair of gloves in your backpack. It's so you wouldn't leave any fingerprints. Everyone looked at me with contempt and disdain in their eyes. I didn't explain. I just took the hair clip tangled in my hair and handed it to the police. This is my miniature camera. You can check it. The footage from the camera shows that I never once approached Lily's desk. On the contrary, she flaunted the necklace in front of me several times. Because I went to the restroom, I took off the hair clip and placed it in my pencil case. In the pitch-black screen, a voice suddenly sounded. Will it work? Will everyone believe she stole it? Of course they will. Once Nancy Smith is confirmed as a thief, she'll definitely be ostracized. Alright, but you have to promise I'll get my necklace back. Or my mom will kill me. Don't worry, if I can't get it back, I'll compensate you with 10 of them. Mia Smith and Lily's conversation was clearly recorded. Their faces instantly turned pale. Lily was dragged by her ear by her mother to apologize to me, while Mia Smith trembled, hiding in her brother's arms. Mom couldn't believe it and reached out to hit Mia Smith, but was stopped by her brother. Mom, if you want to hit someone, hit me instead, tears streaming down her face. Mom's hand dropped weakly. Mia, why would you do this to your sister? She's my own flesh and blood. Mia Smith cried and said that she had momentarily lost her mind, and promised it would never happen again. Everything was resolved perfectly, only I was left with a swollen slap mark on my face, looking utterly ridiculous. My father stepped forward awkwardly, wanting to pull me into an embrace. I took a step back, swept a cold gaze over their faces, and made my demand. I want to transfer to another class. After misunderstanding me, my parents started treating me with extra caution. I saw my mom's notes where she had recorded all my preferences. Even my older brother started showing concern for me. He will remember to bring me a gift when he returns. My favorite dishes also started appearing on the dining table. I took out my little notebook less and less frequently, and gradually opened up, sharing my past experiences with my parents. When they heard that Mia Smith's mother had abandoned me in the mountains and I was found by an old woman gathering firewood, my mother held me tightly, her tears falling on my shoulder. She said she would never let me suffer any harm again. They held a recognition banquet for me, inviting many celebrities from the upper class to introduce me. Just as my parents stood on either side of me on the stage, holding my hands and preparing to introduce me to everyone, the large screen flickered, and the heartwarming video of my infancy that had been playing was abruptly shut off. Mia Smith's face appeared on the screen. She gave a weak smile. Mom and Dad, I know my sister has been away from home for over a decade, and it's only right that you treat her well. It doesn't matter that I've been neglected all this time. Tears streamed down her face as she poured out her grievances. She is truly formidable. In just a few minutes of storytelling, she managed to portray herself as a sensible yet unloved child, while casting me as the unruly, troublesome demon spawn. Then, she revealed a pitiful smile. Mom, Dad, Mia doesn't want to cause you any trouble. I hope in the next life, Mia can be your biological child. The blade fell on her wrist, and blood gushed out. Mom screamed hysterically, No, Mia. The scene descended into chaos. My parents shook off my hand and frantically made phone calls. I stood frozen on the stage, instinctively pulling out the small notebook from my bag to check something off. I I had anticipated that the fake heiress would use suicide to force me out. My brother stepped forward, snatched my notebook, and tore it to pieces. His eyes were bloodshot as he glared at me. At a time like this, you're still scribbling in that damn notebook of yours, Nancy Smith. Do you even have a heart? Haven't we been good enough to you all this time? Why did you have to push Mia to her death? Feeling the disdainful or curious gazes of the guests present, I took a deep breath and defended myself. I never forced her. She's the one who can't stand me. Enough, both of you. Stop talking. Dad glanced at me. I understood his look. He was thinking that it would have been better if they had never found me. Then, they all went to find Mia Smith, leaving me alone on the stage. I don't know how I got home. I only knew that when I opened my phone, I had already become a trending topic. Hashtag after the real heiress of the Smith group was found, the fake heiress was forced to commit suicide. Hashtag. The clueless onlookers all left comments attacking me, calling me vicious. They even found my account, dug up my selfies, and turned my photos into memorial portraits. When I went to school, someone even threw rotten eggs at me. After someone splashed a bucket of red paint on me, I was trembling all over and called my mom, hoping she would step forward to explain things for me. But Mom said, "Nancy, Mia is in a very poor mental state right now. Let's discuss your matter after she recovers." Okay, but you know, I haven't done any of the things they're saying online. My brother yelled at me. Mia even attempted suicide by cutting her wrist. Do you have any sympathy at all? It's just cyberbullying. If you stand straight, your shadow won't slant. If you haven't done anything wrong, why are you afraid of what others say? The call was disconnected, and I was already in tears. The phone rang again, and my mother pleaded, "Nancy, please come and apologize to Mia, otherwise, she won't eat. She hasn't eaten all night." I didn't say a word, silently blocking all their numbers. After packing my things, I left home without hesitation. Not long after I left, Mia Smith was discharged from the hospital. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, it's my fault for delaying Nancy's family reunion banquet, she said self-reproachfully. It's all right, the family reunion isn't urgent. As long as you don't do anything foolish, that's what matters, Dad said dotingly, patting Mia Smith's head. Mom looked at the surveillance cameras I had installed all over the room and actually sighed, saying, "Mom knows you've been wronged, but Nancy must have been wronged too. How about you two sisters apologize to each other and let this matter pass?" Hearing that she had to apologize to me, a shadow of gloom flickered in Mia Smith's eyes, but on the surface, she still obediently said, "Okay, I'll go apologize to my sister." Right before she could finish her sentence, Mia Smith fainted. "Mom, why are you making Mia apologize? She's a patient." Her brother's eyes turned red with anxiety. "This matter is my decision. Let Nancy come down and apologize to Mia. Mia is a stubborn child. If there's no apology, she won't eat." Her father waved his hand and declared. Mom gave Mia Smith a deep look, and in the end, she couldn't bear to be harsh. She sighed and came up to find me. "Nancy, Mom's coming in." Mom opened the door and walked in, only to see the neatly folded bedding. Her heart panicked, and she searched several more rooms before shouting loudly, "Honey, Nancy is gone. Call her," Dad said, picking up his phone to call me. But the call wouldn't go through. Mom tried calling me too, but it also showed that the call couldn't be connected. After realizing I was missing, my parents finally started to worry about me. They grabbed their jackets and said they were going out to look for me. Damn, ever since Nancy Smith came to our house, there hasn't been a single peaceful day, my brother complained. "Shut your mouth." Dad turned his head and glared at my brother. My brother stiffened his neck and said, "I'm not wrong. It would be better if she left. Then our family could go back to how it was before." Mom slapped my brother across the face. "Do you hear what you're saying?" After I left so decisively, both my dad and Mom panicked, and for once, they scolded my brother for my sake. Mom cried and said, "Nancy is your biological sister. It must be you who tore her notebook, which made her want to run away from home." Lucas Smith. "I told you before I brought Nancy home to treat both your sisters equally and not be so biased." My brother covered his face and stammered, "I did treat them equally. Whenever I bought 2 gifts, I always gave one to Nancy Smith." "Right, except it was always the difference between the genuine article and the freebie. I was always the one who got the freebie. But even so, I will keep the gift from my brother safe." "But Mom and Dad, I've only spent a few days with Nancy Smith in total. How can you expect me to treat her the same as Mia?" Mom and Dad were taken aback. Right, even they couldn't treat everyone equally. How could they demand that of Lucas Smith? Lucas, go make some noodles for Mia. Your dad and I are going to find Nancy. At that moment, Mia Smith woke up groggily and whined to her mother, Mom, I don't want to eat what brother makes. I want to eat what you make. For the first time, Mom lost her temper with Mia Smith. Mia Smith, you're not a child anymore. Can you please stop making your parents worry so much? I bought a bus ticket and returned to Grandma's house. As soon as I entered, I saw a plate of pickles on Grandma's table. Grandma, is this all you're eating? When my parents took me away, I asked them to send some money to Grandma. I had hoped it would improve her life. But I never expected her to eat even more simply. Nancy. What brings you back? Grandma quickly put down her chopsticks and touched my face. You're even thinner than before you left. Grandma, you're saying that about me, but haven't you lost weight too? I wiped my tears. Didn't my parents send you the money? They did, a lot of money. Grandma wiped away my tears. But Grandma wants to save it for Nancy's education. My nose tingled with emotion. I made an excuse and went back to my room, burying myself under the covers and crying my heart out. It's been so long since I've been back, yet the quilt still carries the scent of sunlight. My phone kept flashing, and amidst a flood of abusive comments, I spotted a WeChat message from the nanny. Miss, where have you gone? The master and madam are very worried about you. I let out 3 cold laughs. Worried? If they were truly worried about me, they wouldn't allow others to continue cyberbullying me. I took a deep breath and opened the home surveillance. Just in time to see Mia Smith with her legs crossed, talking on the phone with her girlfriends. Nancy Smith has been driven away by me. I never expected her to be so fragile. If I had known it would be that easy, I wouldn't have had to fake a suicide. Perhaps after I left, she completely let her guard down and forgot that there were surveillance cameras installed at home. I just didn't expect Mom and Dad to be so protective of her. They actually scolded me for her sake, right? I wish she just dropped dead out there. Ha ha ha. I saved this evidence expressionlessly, organized it, and then posted it all on my social media account. The direction of public opinion instantly changed. Faking suicide, this is the first time I've heard of such a thing. I knew there was more to the story, but none of you believed me. It's highly suspicious to commit suicide at someone else's family reunion banquet, isn't it? Mia Smith was dumbfounded when she saw the evidence. And she went crazy, smashing all the surveillance cameras in the house. I also mercilessly posted the video of her destroying the surveillance cameras on my account. Hashtag Smith family's fake heiress goes crazy smashing surveillance cameras. Hashtag fake daughter stages a drama to drive away the real daughter. Hashtag. These topics have been trending for days. A few days later, my parents and brother came to find me. If you're here to plead for Mia Smith and ask me to forgive her, then you can leave now. I said coldly. Mom's tears instantly streamed down her face. Nancy, Mom didn't know Mia Smith could be so heartless. Mom has arranged boarding for her. Don't worry, after we return home this time, your dad and I will definitely protect you well. I was slightly taken aback, never expecting Mom would be willing to let Mia Smith board at school. Dad gave my brother a push, and my brother hesitantly handed me a repaired notebook. I'm sorry, little sister, after reading your notebook, I realized how terrified you were of coming back to this house, and I truly did hurt you. My brother hit his head in frustration and said, the nanny found the blood bag in the trash. I never expected Mia Smith's suicide attempt to be fake. When I saw so much blood on the floor that day, I was too panicked and ended up saying harsh words to you. After my brother finished his confession, my father quickly added, Nancy, please give us another chance. I remained silent for a long time before slowly shaking my head. I don't want to trust you anymore. My mother sobbed uncontrollably. Nancy, Mom and Dad know we were wrong. We've already installed new surveillance in the villa. Mia won't be able to hurt you again. But in the face of absolute evidence, you still chose Mia Smith. A faint sadness flickered in my eyes. Unless, I turned my gaze toward Grandma, who was still limping slightly. You can let Grandma go back with me and cover her medical expenses. I only found out after returning home that Grandma had sprained her foot the day after I left. She endured it stubbornly without telling me. It was only when I noticed something was wrong and kept pressing her that she finally told me the truth. The local clinic in our small town couldn't figure out what was wrong. We'll have to go to a major hospital for proper examination. My parents quickly agreed, after Appa and I returned. My mother thoughtfully cleared out the room next to mine, which belonged to Mia Smith, and gave it to Appa to stay in. Mia Smith is definitely going to be angry. I warned my mother in advance. Sure enough, When Mia Smith came home and saw that her room had been taken by my Appa, she was furious and threw a fit. Mom, Dad, am I really your child? Why are you giving my room to an outsider? I stood guard by Grandma's side, afraid that this madman would rush over and harm her. Mom said calmly, "It's a special situation. Please try to be understanding. You want me to be understanding of an outsider." The old woman opened her mouth and mocked. "An outsider? If I'm an outsider, then you're an outsider too." Mia Smith understood the implied meaning in the old woman's words and flushed with anger, her cheeks turning red. "Mom, are you just going to stand by and watch this country bumpkin bully me?" Dad yelled at Mia Smith. "Mia, what did I teach you about respecting your elders? Apologize to Granny right now." Seeing both Mom and Dad standing on my side, Mia Smith anxiously grabbed her brother's hand. "Brother, look, they're ganging up to bully me." Thinking back to what Mia Smith had said that day about her fake suicide attempt, her brother took a deep breath and slowly pulled Mia Smith's hand away. "Mia, just take it as an apology to Nancy. You really went too far." Mia Smith looked at them in disbelief, then stamped her foot and ran away. Mia Smith didn't come back until dinner time. "Dad, should we go look for Mia?" My brother was still worried. Dad just handed his phone to my brother to see. It showed Mia Smith's spending records, luxury stores, cosmetics shops, high-end restaurants. She had recklessly spent over $1 million. "Don't worry, Mia Smith never treats herself badly." It wasn't until evening, when we were all ready to go to bed, that Mia Smith finally came home with red eyes. "Mom and Dad, you actually didn't even come looking for me. When Nancy Smith left, you were all so anxious. It's so unfair. Weren't you afraid I might starve to death out there?" The old woman snorted coldly and said, "It seems to me you've eaten more than any of us. There's still sauce at the corner of your mouth." Mia Smith guiltily reached to wipe her mouth, only to find nothing there. She then realized the old woman had tricked her and felt the urge to throw a tantrum again. "Enough. If you don't want to go back to your biological parents, then settle down and behave." Hearing the resoluteness in her mother's tone, Mia Smith didn't dare say another word. She swallowed her frustration and retreated to her room. My brother just glanced up at Mia Smith and didn't chase after to comfort her. The balance at home quietly tilted in my favor, but even so, I didn't dare relax, checking Grandma's room and my own multiple times every day, afraid that Mia Smith might have left something harmful inside, until one day, when my brother and I brought Grandma home from the hospital, we saw Mia Smith, who should have been at school, sitting on the sofa with a triumphant smile curling at the corners of her mouth. I panicked and rushed into Grandma's room, checking for any signs that Mia Smith had been rummaging through her things. My brother walked in and laughed at my nervous state. "Is it really that serious, sis? You're way too tense." Until I opened Grandma's medicine bottle and saw that her life-saving pills had been replaced. My brother's smile froze on his face. My head exploded with a boom. I rushed downstairs, shoved Mia Smith to the ground in one swift motion, and straddled her, striking her left and right. My brother tried to stop me, but Grandma blocked his way. "Lucas Smith, if you help Mia Smith this time, Nancy will never call you brother again." Lucas Smith's pupils contracted sharply. He turned his head away and began reviewing the surveillance footage. He was gambling, betting that Mia Smith hadn't entered the old lady's room, betting that she still had a shred of humanity left. But the surveillance footage went completely black right after Mia Smith returned. When my parents came back, Mia Smith broke free from me, rushed over to hug my mom's leg, and cried uncontrollably. I was panting heavily, glaring fiercely at Mia Smith as she was tattling to my parents. "What's going on, Lucas? You tell me." Mom looked confused and turned to Lucas Smith. My brother was about to speak when Mia Smith's cries interrupted him. "Mom, look what Nancy Smith did to me." Dad couldn't bear to look and turned to me. "Nancy, you went too far this time. No matter what Mia did, you should have told us instead of beating up your sister like this," I yelled. She swapped my grandma's life-saving medicine. Mom was taken aback, looking at Mia Smith in disbelief. "Mia, did you switch grandma's medicine?" Mia Smith just kept shaking her head. Dad called the doctor and asked him to check the medicine in the bottle. The doctor examined the medicine, and after checking, he took a deep breath and said, "It has been switched, and these two types of medicine are incompatible. If taken during an episode, it would certainly be fatal." Hearing the words, "certain death," I clenched my fist, wanting to hit Mia Smith again. Granny held me back, saying, "Nancy, I'm fine, don't fight with others anymore. Look, your arm is scratched by Mia Smith." when I pushed Mia Smith down. Of course, she fought back. Her sharp nails dug into my skin, but I felt no pain and punched her until she was dazed. Mom glanced at the wound on my hand and felt heartbroken. She hardened her heart, closed her eyes, and said, "Mia, what did Mom tell you back then? If you hurt Nancy again, Mom won't want you anymore." Mia Smith cried out loudly. "I didn't hurt Nancy Smith. I just switched her grandma's medicine." This time, my parents didn't soften their hearts again. They directly terminated the adoption agreement with her, sent her back to her biological parents' home, and even changed her surname. Even so, I still carry a small notebook with me, scribbling and doodling in it. I had preemptively envisioned 100 different ways Mia Lincoln might seek revenge. When my brother called me and heard me say that Mia Lincoln might have someone kidnap me, he chuckled lightly. "Sis, you're really overthinking it. Mia Lincoln may be wicked, but she's not that foolish. She wouldn't dare do such illegal things in public, would she?" After he finished speaking, he didn't get any response from me. All I heard was Mia Lincoln saying, "Mom, didn't you say you need money to treat my brother's illness? The money from selling one daughter definitely won't be enough. Why not sell both daughters together?" After knocking me out, she pinched my chin and said, "Nancy Smith, I'm going to make you experience what it feels like to be touched by an old man too." This time, Mia Lincoln cleverly destroyed all the hairpins and communication devices on me. Then she had her biological parents push a tricycle and stuff me into a pile of hay. Their faces were all beaming with joy. "Mia, you're so clever. Now we've gathered enough for your brother's surgery. Hurry and send it over. Don't keep Bob waiting," Mia Lincoln said anxiously. But before they could leave the alley, they were surrounded by a large crowd of people. "What's in the car?" Just as they were about to make excuses, Mia Smith's eyes lit up, and she broke free from her biological parents' hands, running forward. "Brother, you came to pick me up, didn't you?" Mia Smith showed a genuine smile, then pitifully shed tears. "Brother, you don't know how badly my parents treated me. They didn't give me food and even sent me to an old man's bed to exchange a bride price for my brother's treatment." Boo-hoo. Mia Smith's sudden betrayal infuriated the couple to death. "Mia Smith, I shouldn't have given birth to you. You always take others' side. I should have strangled you the moment you were born." Ignoring the curses from her biological parents, Mia Smith tried to grab her brother's hand, but he forcefully shook her off. "Mia Smith, what did you do to my sister?" Her brother stepped forward, holding up his phone, which displayed a mysterious live stream. "From knocking me out to smashing my live streaming equipment." Mia Smith's true face was all broadcasted in real time. Mia Smith was horrified, letting out a sharp, piercing scream. "Is this bitch actually live streaming?" Thanks to Mia Smith buying trending searches to cyberbully me before, she indirectly helped me gain a wave of fans. Before calling my brother, I had already started the live stream. Mia Smith probably knew I was on the phone with my brother, so she had already prepared her excuses, shifting all the blame onto her biological parents while also playing the victim card. She knew that Lucas Smith cared for her the most. The hardships she had endured during this time were not fabricated. So she reached out, revealing her bruised and purple arms, trying to evoke the tenderness deep within Lucas Smith's heart. But Lucas Smith walked past her, held me, the one who had just been rescued, in his arms, and said to me, "I'm sorry." She stared blankly at the scene before her until the police arrived and took them away. Her biological parents were thrown into prison. However, Mia Smith was under 16 and had suffered abuse, so after a verbal warning, she was released. She grabbed her parents' sleeves, crying and pleading, "Mom, Dad, Mia knows she was wrong. Let Mia come back, even if it's just as a servant." I stood to the side, instinctively pulling out my small notebook and began to imagine the consequences of my parents softening their hearts. As I thought, tears slowly streamed down my face, and the hand holding the pen couldn't stop trembling. But unexpectedly, my parents resolutely said, "Mia Lincoln, we will no longer put our child in a constant state of tension for your sake." They held my hands, speaking gently yet firmly. "Nancy, from now on, you don't need to imagine so many terrible outcomes. Mom, Dad, and your brother will always love you dearly." Mia Lincoln was sent to live with relatives. Even so, I couldn't help but fantasize that my parents might one day soften their hearts and bring Mia back. At night, I was plagued by nightmares, often dreaming that Mia Lincoln was trying to harm my grandmother, and that my parents and brother were all on her side. The smile had vanished from my face, and I spent my days anticipating my tragic end. My parents had privately consulted a doctor who said it was a psychological issue and that I needed a great sense of security to alleviate my pessimistic mood. So, whenever they had free time, they took me out to play, leaving me no time to dwell on my thoughts. Every day when they returned, they would bring back gifts for me. My brother never left my side, taking me to the classroom in the morning, having lunch with me at noon, and walking home with me in the afternoon. They took my notebook, carefully studied the assumptions inside, then analyzed each one seriously, telling me that none of this would happen. We were becoming more and more like a family. Just when I thought the terrible events I had imagined wouldn't occur, Lily rushed to my house, crying loudly, "Auntie, Uncle, Mia has cancer. She's lying in the hospital now, and no one is taking care of her." Mom paused while picking up food with her chopsticks. "Cancer," Lily quickly nodded. "She just hopes to see you all once now." I looked up, observing my parents' reactions. Seeing that they seemed somewhat sorrowful, my heart gradually sank. After all, Mia Lincoln has cancer. They definitely won't just stand by and do nothing. "Mom, Dad," I said slowly, "go check on Mia Lincoln. Don't worry about my feelings." Unexpectedly, my mother spoke with sorrow. "Out of the 6 hairy crabs we bought today, 2 have died." My father sighed. "Unscrupulous vendors, giving us stale ones," the old lady snorted coldly. "Next time you go grocery shopping, take me with you. I'll give that unscrupulous vendor a piece of my mind." Grandma took a bite of the crab, her eyes lighting up as she asked, "My dear friend, your hairy crab is absolutely delicious. You must teach me how to make it someday." My brother then placed the crab meat he had peeled into my bowl and said eagerly, "Here, little sister, you have some." Me, Lily had the same expression as me, no matter how she spoke up for Mia Lincoln. My whole family ignored her. She could only slink away in embarrassment. After Lily left, I asked my mom if she was really not worried about Mia Lincoln. Mother said with a cold laugh, "Her cancer is fake. The hospital doctor has already told me so." Suddenly, it all made sense to me. I had indeed considered that possibility. "But what if she really has cancer?" Father replied. "Then it's her retribution. All these years, we have done everything we could for her." Soon after, we saw the news on TV about Mia Lincoln being arrested. She was disheveled, her eyes filled with gloom. The news anchor said she had brutally murdered her younger brother. "She is already 18 years old and must bear legal responsibility for her actions." Mia Lincoln, pinned down by the police, screamed hoarsely, "Nancy Smith, I hate you. Smith family, I hate you all." After my brother turned off the TV with a cold expression, our family went on eating and drinking as usual. No one mentioned Mia Lincoln again, and no one felt any sorrow for her. She was sentenced to death. When I heard the news, I felt a bit wistful, staring blankly at the densely written little notebook in my hand. In the end, I threw the little notebook into the trash and turned to hold Grandma's hand. My parents said they had arranged a birthday banquet for me at a 5-star hotel. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. When my husband Shin Jianju's family was ruined and he lost everything, I simply walked away. After he made a comeback, I would visit him every year. The first year, I came holding our daughter, and he threw 50,000 yuan at me, telling me to get lost. The second year, I brought a late-stage cancer diagnosis report, but he didn't even look at it and gave me 100,000 yuan, telling me to disappear forever. In the third and fourth years, I disappeared from this world as he wished, until the 5th year, when he received a call from his daughter. "Mommy, when are you bringing the food? I'm hungry, Mommy, I'm so hungry." Watching my daughter sneak home from the orphanage, find my old phone, charge it up, and then imitate my way of making phone calls. Back when I was critically ill, I could only keep ordering meals through Pinhayafan, and the delivery riders always left my order for last. Whenever she was hungry, I would call to hurry the rider along, so my daughter thought that making a phone call would fill her little tummy. Now, she dialed the number in the same manner, calling the emergency contact, Shin Jianju. She dialed over and over again. The faintly lit screen illuminated her youthful face. I wanted to stop her, but my hand passed right through her body. A bit annoyed. 3 years. And I still keep forgetting that I'm just a soul. And see, don't call him anymore. He won't answer. He probably still thinks I'm just someone who despises the poor and adores the rich. Go open the small box on the table. There's money I left for you inside. Most of the money I received from Shin Jianju has been put into a trust fund to cover our daughter's living expenses after she starts school. I left $1,000 in the box for our daughter's unexpected needs. as if by some telepathic connection. Our daughter picked up that small box, but at that moment, a clear, crisp voice came from the other end of the phone. Su Chaofei. I froze, only then noticing that the screen showed the call had already been going on for a minute. Didn't I tell you to get lost? His tone was calm and unruffled, as heartless as ever. I twisted my fingers, feeling embarrassed as my daughter's father scolded me in front of her, even though they didn't know each other. He said mockingly, "What money again? Fine, come and beg me." The daughter stared at the phone with delight, her little milky voice chiming, "Uncle, when are you bringing me food? I'm hungry." There was a moment of silence on the other end. Let Su Chaofei answer the phone. "You mean mommy?" The daughter's expression instantly fell. "But she can't answer the phone anymore." Shen Jianzhu's voice deepened. "What happened to her?" "Mom said she fell asleep." A 4.5-year-old child has no concept of life and death. A scoff came from the other end of the phone, clearly unconvinced by such clumsy rhetoric. "Really, I'd like to see what trick she's up to this time." I wanted to curl my lips into a smile, but I couldn't manage it. What tricks could I possibly have left? I wanted to float over to him and scare him, but I was powerless to do so. After hanging up the phone, my daughter curled her lips and nestled in the corner of the sofa, waiting quietly, but I was so anxious I was pacing in circles. Shen Jianzhu hates me so much. What would he do to my daughter? An hour later, there was a knock at the door. My heart jolted. "Don't open it." And see, my daughter had already opened the door. Outside were not the meals she had been expecting, but several bodyguards in suits. After searching the house and finding no one else, they took the daughter away. No, I could do nothing but watch as my daughter was taken away. When Shen Jianzhu opened the door, seeing her daughter crying with tears streaming down her face, she then looked behind her daughter. "Where is that woman?" The woman he was referring to was me. I lowered my gaze. In his eyes, I wasn't even worthy of a name anymore. The bodyguard answered truthfully. When we arrived, only this little girl was in the room. My daughter broke free from their grasp and clung to Shen Jianzhu's leg. "Uncle, there are bad people trying to catch me." I was stunned. It was only my daughter's third time meeting Shen Jianzhu. She didn't know that Shen Jianzhu was the father who refused to acknowledge her, but blood ties were at play, making her naturally dependent on Shen Jianzhu. Shen Jianzhu felt a bit uncomfortable being hugged by her and frowned mockingly. "She's quite heartless, pushing her own bastard child out to face my anger." I quickly waved my hands. "No, Ensi is not a bastard child. She is our child." He didn't believe it. After giving birth to my daughter and discovering she had the Shen family's hereditary heart disease, I once went to find him. Shen Jianzhu's words still echoed in my ears. "Su Chaofei, do you think I'm still the same Shen Jianzhu from before, fooled once by you, and now fooled again a second time? You think you can pin a child born from some other man on me? Get lost. Here's 20,000. Consider it severance pay for our 5 years together." I said, "Not enough." He didn't want our daughter, but she needed money for her treatment. Shen Jianzhu gritted his teeth in anger. "You really are obsessed with money, aren't you? Fine, 50,000, because that's all you're worth. 5 years of feelings, reduced to a commodity waiting to be priced." I knew this would make Shen Jianzhu look down on me, but it didn't matter. My daughter had the surgery with that money. In the future, she will live a healthy life. It was worth it. Now, Shen Jianzhu coldly asks my daughter, "Tell me, where is your mother hiding?" My daughter looked up with tear-filled eyes, her features strikingly similar to mine. Shen Jianzhu seemed momentarily lost in thought. "Mommy, I sleep during the day and become a star at night." At these words, Shen Jianzhu's expression turned cold and rigid as he withdrew his leg. Has she learned to use the sympathy ploy now? My daughter fell hard on her bottom. I drifted over, using all my strength to catch her. But I couldn't hold her. Watching her fall through my arms, the little box she was clutching tightly also fell to the ground. My daughter, who hadn't eaten for 2 days, struggled twice before she could get up from the ground. My heart ached with each painful throb. Shen Jianzhu watched coldly from the side, his fists inexplicably clenching. The little girl hugged the small box tightly and patted her own bottom, pretending to be strong. "Mommy, it doesn't hurt." I was dazed, thinking she could see me. Then I remembered. I was paralyzed in bed with late-stage stomach cancer. She started learning to take care of me when she was just 2 years old, even picking up plastic bottles while I was asleep. One day, she got into a fight with a stray dog and came back covered in wounds. I was so worried that I coughed up blood. Instead, she smiled and comforted me, saying she wasn't in pain. Shen Jianzhu heard her say this and looked around. Su Chaofei, come out. The surroundings were silent, not a sound could be heard. I was standing right in front of him, yet he couldn't see me. Shen Jianzhu waited for a moment but didn't spot my figure, sarcastic. How heartless, to use such a young child like that, let her get lost. With those words, Shen Jianzhu stepped inside his home. The bodyguard threw the daughter onto the main road. It was already dark. My daughter stood alone on the unfamiliar street, lost in thought for a while. She asked the little box in confusion, "Mommy, which way should I go?" My heart ached so much I could hardly breathe, and I could only pray that the orphanage would quickly notice my daughter was missing. The daughter looked at the moon in the sky. "Mommy, can I find you by following the moon?" She was too hungry to walk and fell twice. Stumbling along, she found a trash can and discovered half a piece of uneaten cake. Her eyes lit up as she picked up the sour-smelling cake and eagerly brought it to her mouth. I cried out, trying to stop her, "Auntie, you can't eat that, it'll upset your stomach." She couldn't hear me, but the cake in her hand was suddenly knocked away. It was Shen Jianzhu, who had appeared there at some point without anyone noticing. Even I didn't notice. He looked at his dirty daughter, gritting his teeth. "Su Chaofei, is this how you treat your daughter?" He took his daughter into the car parked nearby. The daughter cried incessantly, no longer holding any childlike affection for him. "Why won't you let me eat? You're a bad person." After saying this, she wanted to lick the residue off her fingers. Shen Jianzhu grabbed her hand, wiping it clean with a wet wipe while showing a hint of disdain. "Didn't your mother teach you not to pick up things from the ground and eat them?" His movements were gentle and meticulous. When we first fell in love, he always took care of me down to the smallest detail. My friends said he was a father-like boyfriend, mature and steady, and our daughter is just as stubborn as I am. When she pushed him away, her little hand slapped him across the face. "I don't want you, you bad guy, to take care of me." I was startled and looked at Shen Jianzhu with fear. I found that he wasn't angry. He lowered his eyelashes, threw away the wet wipe, and turned his head toward the window, refusing to look at the daughter whose profile was exactly like mine. His tone was mocking. "You have a temper just like your mother's. Good thing you're not my child." I smiled bitterly. "Sorry to disappoint you then." The small box slips from my daughter's arms. He bends down to pick it up, glancing at the dirty wooden box. He finds it somewhat familiar. I instinctively wanted to stop him. If he opened it, he would discover the truth from back then. He would live the rest of his life in guilt, rather than let him feel guilty. It's better to let him hate me. But as I looked at my daughter, I also wished for her to live under her father's protection. I felt conflicted and tense. Unexpectedly, he tossed the wooden box into our daughter's arms, saying, "Why are you picking up all this junk?" For a moment, I didn't know whether to feel relieved or disappointed. Shen Jianzhu brought his daughter back home. He instructed the nanny to prepare some food for her, then glanced at his daughter's emaciated frame and added, "Make something easy to digest. I don't know how that woman raised the child. She's as thin as a stick. Good thing I didn't marry someone like her." I nodded. "I really am an unfit mother." Shen Jianzhu sat at the dining table, watching his daughter pick out the carrots. He frowned and instinctively said, "Su Chaofei, no picky eating." Both he and I froze at the same time. "I'll keep you right under my nose. I don't believe Su Chaofei won't come to pick you up." He left these words behind. Shen Jianzhu stood up and went upstairs, his retreating figure looking as if he were fleeing in defeat. The daughter's eyes lit up. "Really? Will mommy come to pick me up?" As soon as night fell, the daughter refused to sleep in the guest room and insisted on sleeping on the sofa, no matter how the nanny tried to persuade her. Shen Jianzhu grew impatient. Kids are such a hassle. Let her be, she can sleep wherever she wants. After their daughter slept on the sofa for 3 days, Shen Jianzhu frowned deeply at the sight of her curled up in a small ball. "Is your mother really that cruel to you? Does she usually not let you sleep in bed?" Their daughter shook her head. "Not at all. Mom is on the sofa too." Shen Jianzhu didn't understand, but I was the only one who burst into tears. Because there was only one sofa at home, when I was seriously ill, lying on the sofa, I often fell into a coma, and my daughter thought I was asleep. She would obediently snuggle into my arms and hold me. Even after going to the welfare home, my daughter liked to stay on the sofa in the reception hall, as if sleeping in my arms. Shen Jianzhu has been working from home lately, often staring blankly at the door. He looked at his daughter, who was also staring at the door, and asked, "What's your name?" "Suansi." "Suansi, you've been abandoned by your mom too." The daughter instantly became like a stubborn little beast. "No way, my mom would never abandon me." Is that so? Then why hasn't she come to pick you up for a whole week? As soon as the words were spoken, the doorbell rang. Shen Jianzhu immediately stood up, revealing a knowing smile. Your mom is here. The daughter hurriedly scrambled up from the floor, looking expectantly toward the door. The door opened. Both of them were stunned. The little girl pouted and said, "Liar. You're clearly not my mommy." The newcomer was a bright and beautiful girl in a red dress, whom I had seen during my daughter's second meeting with Shen Jianzhu. It was at the hospital, right after my daughter had finished her surgery. Shen Jianzhu led her out of the gynecology department, acting very affectionately. The girl glanced at her daughter and asked in confusion, "Where did this child come from?" Shen Jianzhu replied nonchalantly, "Just picked her up casually." The girl widened her eyes in disbelief. "You're even picking up kids now." As if remembering something, she pointed at the flower bed in the yard and angrily exclaimed, "Who pulled out my roses?" My heart inexplicably felt a pang of bitterness. It turned out they were already living together. Shen Jianzhu glanced at his daughter, who wasn't even as tall as his legs, and she guiltily averted her gaze before returning to the sofa. Shen Jianzhu said with little interest, "They're just flowers. We can always plant more." Seeing him say that, the girl didn't press further. She followed Shen Jianzhu into the house and, as soon as she sat on the sofa, covered her nose with her hand. "What's that strange smell? Ever since I got pregnant, I've been especially sensitive to odors." I was shocked and looked at her still flat stomach. After watching how Shen Jianzhu and our daughter had been interacting these past few days, I had been hoping that once he discovered she was his child, he would treat her well. But what about my daughter after he has a child with another woman? Shen Jianzhu also sensed an unusual smell in the air and looked toward his daughter on the sofa. He walked over, picked up his daughter, and lifted the sofa cushion. A pile of food wrapped in plastic bags and 7 withered flowers scattered all over the floor. Both of them were stunned. Shen Jianzhu's veins bulged. "Suansi, what are you doing?" The daughter cried out, "Don't touch my things. These are all for Mom." Thinking of their little daughter picking up trash outside, some kind-hearted people, seeing her pitiful state, would buy her food. She couldn't bear to eat a single bite herself, always saving it to bring home for her. After being caught by the director at the orphanage and reprimanded several times, she learned to eat first herself, then save what she thought was the most delicious food. The other children disliked the smell on her daughter and refused to play with her. Shen Jianzhu's eyes held a complex expression. "Why did you do this?" The daughter cried sadly, "Mommy has never eaten any of these delicious things. You said Mommy would come to pick me up, and I want to save them for her to eat when I see her." Shen Jianzhu wanted to sneer but couldn't bring himself to do so. Didn't she go off to live a good life with a rich man? What hasn't she eaten? The daughter shook her head. "No, Mommy always said she wasn't hungry, at first. I said I wasn't hungry so my daughter would eat more. Later, when my illness worsened, I truly couldn't eat anymore." The girl beside Shen Jianzhu asked, "Why is there an urn on the ground?" It was a small wooden box that had fallen to the ground. Shen Jianzhu stared blankly. An urn? No wonder it looked familiar, as if he had seen it somewhere before. A stack of money and a letter fell out of the box. The letter felt as heavy as 1,000 pounds. And Shen Jianzhu's trembling hands tried several times before he could pick it up. On the envelope was a handwriting he knew all too well. "To my dear daughter and see." He opened the envelope. In an instant, her eyes reddened. "Dear daughter, reading your words feels like seeing you in person. And opening this letter brings me comfort and joy. By the time you read this letter, you must have grown up, right? I'm sorry, my dear, I lied to you. I couldn't be there to watch you grow up. The truth is, I've gone to find your grandparents." Shen Jianzhu closed the letter heavily. His gaze was somewhat vacant as he looked at his daughter. "Since it's the letter she left for you, I'd better not read it," he murmured. "She has a strong temper. She would blame me." Even as he said this, his hand still clutched the letter tightly, refusing to let go. I remained silent. If he had taken one more look, he would have understood why I left back then. Since he already has someone by his side, it proves he has moved past the shadows of those days. Even if he were to learn the truth from that time, it probably wouldn't hurt him too much now. As long as he treats my daughter well in the future, I'm fine. It doesn't matter what happens to me. The girl in the red dress stole a glance at the letter. I asked Shen Jianzhu, "The she you're talking about, could it be that woman who abandoned you for money and went abroad with another man? So that's how everyone has been spreading rumors about me." But there's nothing wrong with what they said. Back then, to force Shen Jianzhu to break up, I said some pretty hurtful things. At that time, His family was going through a crisis. When he heard I wanted to break up with him, he stood under my building in the heavy snow all night. As if he didn't care about his life, standing at the second-floor window, I looked down at him and said, "I've long grown tired of you. If it weren't for your money, I would never have stayed with a penny pincher for 5 years. Now that you're broke, it's perfect timing. I've already found someone else, so get lost." The man who, during the earthquake, shielded me and didn't shed a single tear even when a steel bar pierced through his abdomen, cried so pathetically back then. "You said you would love me forever. How can you be so cruel? Please don't abandon me. You like money. I'll earn lots of money in the future. Please don't leave me. Can you come down and see me? I'm begging you." As he spoke, he knelt on the ground. I really wanted to go down and hold him, but I couldn't. I cursed him with the most vicious words in the world, yet he still didn't leave. In the end, he passed out from the cold on the roadside, and bystanders took him to the hospital. Later, I heard that Shen Jianzhu came looking for me a few times, but my home was already empty. Shen Jianzhu lowered his gaze, lost in thought, clearly also immersed in that memory. The daughter's cautious voice broke the silence. "Uncle, can I still save some tasty food for Mom in the future? I'm not a thief. These are all from my own bowl that I didn't eat." Shen Jianzhu met those tear-filled eyes and found himself unable to utter any words of refusal. The girl in red exclaimed in surprise, "Brother, isn't she your daughter? Why is she calling you uncle?" I was shocked. Was she really Shen Jianzhu's younger sister, Shen Lingxue, who had grown up abroad? Shen Jianzhu asked in confusion, "Why do you think she's my daughter? She looks exactly like you did when you were a child, as if carved from the same mold." Shen Jianzhu widened his eyes and suddenly looked at his daughter. His breathing became somewhat rapid. Ever since his daughter had come to his home, he had never truly taken a good look at her. He always stared intently at her spirited eyes. Now that I look closely, her nose bridge and ears are just like his. Even the little habit of pursing her lips into a straight line when she's serious is the same. He had been blind to the obvious. He watched as his daughter picked up the money from the ground, neatly stacked it, and then handed $5 back to him. "Uncle, Mom and I won't take advantage of you for free." Shen Jianzhu looked at the mix of coins and bills in her hand, a strange glint flashing in his eyes, and asked, "Has your mother ever mentioned your father?" The little girl shook her head blankly. His heart ached so much it felt like it was about to stop beating. Holding my daughter tightly in my arms, my voice trembled. "I'm sorry, my daughter. I am your father." My daughter didn't understand why this uncle's shoulders kept trembling, but she imitated the way I comforted her. Gently patting his head, I couldn't stop myself from crying. "That's wonderful." Shen Jianzhu recognized his daughter. His daughter finally has a home. Shen Jianzhu took a long time to calm down, his eyes bloodshot as he released his daughter. He snarled at the air, "Su Chaofei, you're just wonderful. To live a good life. You abandoned me. Fine. But you even heartlessly abandoned our daughter. I'm not done with you." I watched as my soul gradually grew transparent. He let out a bitter laugh. "You won't be able to find me." Shen Jianzhu looked at his daughter and asked, "Do you know where your grandmother's house is? How about coming with Dad to find your mom?" Naturally, his daughter had no idea. Following the clues his subordinates had uncovered, Shen Jianzhu took his daughter to the house from which she had been taken. The alley in the residential area was too narrow, so the car had to be parked outside. As soon as he entered the residential area, Shen Jianzhu saw a large rat scurrying out of the sewer. He quickly shielded his daughter. Unexpectedly, his daughter patted his hand instead and said, "Uncle, don't be afraid. It doesn't bite." Shen Jianzhu didn't correct her form of address right away. His eyes filled with heartache as he looked at his daughter. "You and your mother have been living here all along." His daughter led him inside cheerfully. "Just walk to the very end and we'll be there." His daughter took him upstairs. The old residential complex had no elevator, and spiderwebs were everywhere. Shen Jianzhu was too tall and had to stoop to avoid them. They stopped in front of a door plastered with small advertisements. The little girl stood on her tiptoes and used the key hanging around her neck to unlock it. Shen Jianzhu gripped the doorknob tightly, took a few deep breaths, and pushed the door open. The 20-square-meter one-bedroom apartment was completely open and unobstructed. The only large piece of furniture was a faded, second-hand crimson sofa placed against the wall. My daughter set the food and the small wooden box she brought for me on the table. Then, she bounced over to the sofa and lay down, like a weary bird returning to its nest. She only lay in the corner. The empty space just enough for a woman's frame. Shen Jianzhu finally understood why his daughter preferred sleeping on the sofa, but he refused to believe it, his voice hoarse. It's all fake, isn't it? Su Chaofei is so disdainful of the poor and enamored with the rich. How could she bear to live in a place like this? Su Chaofei, come out. He searched all over the house. He even checked the drawer of the lame-legged coffee table, empty, nothing at all. He gave a bitter smile and said, ran away without a word again. If you have the guts, run for a lifetime. An elderly woman, seeing the door wide open, hurried into the house. Upon seeing her daughter, she anxiously slapped her thigh, and see, I finally found you. Otherwise, how could I ever face your mother? Where have you been these past few days? I searched everywhere but couldn't find you. The visitor was the director of the orphanage. I had met her when I was at the hospital with my daughter for surgery. While she was there with the children from the orphanage for medical checkups, she is a very kind and responsible person. The orphanage is also nearby, so I could leave my child with her and go with peace of mind. My daughter smiled at her and said, Mommy director, I'm going to find my mom now. Oh dear, you won't find her. Come back to the institution with me quickly. Shen Jianzhu snapped back to reality. His face full of wariness. Who are you? I'm the director of the welfare institution. I was entrusted by Chaofei to take care of her daughter. And who are you? Shen Jianzhu narrowed his eyes. Welfare institution. She actually had the heart to abandon her child at a welfare institution. Why didn't she come to me? I'm clearly the child's father. He thought of something, and his voice trailed off. The first time he came to my door with our daughter. He thought I had been abandoned by some man and was coming back with the child to climb the social ladder. He hated me to the core. He said many hurtful things. He didn't believe me, nor did he believe the child was his. A clear breeze rustled the dilapidated window of the house, as if bending his back along with it. The director was puzzled. The child has a father. I never heard Chaofei mention it. She looked at their similar faces and almost immediately confirmed that they were father and daughter. The director frowned. Then why did Chaofei arrange for the child to be sent to the welfare center before she passed away? What? Shen Jianzhu's pupils contracted sharply as he stepped forward and grabbed the dean by the shoulders, demanding, what did you say? Su Chaofei is dead. I was the one who collected her body. How could I not know? How is that possible? She went to find the child's grandparents. How could she be dead? The dean spoke with some pity. Her parents died long ago. When she arrived here, she was all alone and helpless, with a baby suffering from a heart condition. To earn money for the child's treatment, she fell ill herself and had no money for her own care. Before she passed away, she entrusted the child to me and asked me to handle her funeral arrangements. I agreed because I felt sorry for her. She glanced at Ansi, who was smiling sweetly, and tears fell from her eyes. When Chaofei passed away, Ansi was still sleeping in her arms. When we tried to take Chaofei away, she refused to let go, insisting that her mother was just asleep. He didn't hear a word of what the dean said after that. After the dean left, he collapsed weakly to the ground. It was as if his very soul had been drained from him. With trembling hands, he pulled out the letter he kept close to his heart. Then he continued reading, Ansi, you once asked me why you don't have a father, and whether it's because he doesn't like us that he isn't with us. I told you your father was a petty man who left because I made him angry. At that time, I was resentful toward him. He believed the harsh words I said in anger and refused to listen to my explanation, which is why I spoke ill of him. But the truth is, your father is a very good person. Due to some unfortunate circumstances, we had to part ways. He hasn't been able to be by your side simply because he doesn't know you exist. So please don't blame him, okay? Children with their mother's care grow into flowers, while children without their mother's presence grow into resilient grass that withstands the wind. I'm sorry, Mom can only accompany you this far. May you live a safe and smooth life, carrying on with the happiness that belongs to Mom. Signed, your forever loving mother. Su Chaofei. Just a few short lines. Shen Jianzhu watched in silence for a long time, so long that his daughter fell asleep. He called his subordinate. Send me the details of Su Chaofei's activities over the past few years. Shen Jianzhu flipped through the documents expressionlessly. The first time I brought my daughter to see him, I was suffering from severe depression and couldn't find a job, and my daughter was diagnosed with a heart condition. I only asked him for money when I had no other way out. The second time I went to him, my daughter had already undergone surgery, but I was diagnosed with terminal stomach cancer. My days are numbered. so I asked him for money to secure a future for my daughter. My medical records and the documents are very clear, even with many photos of me vomiting blood after leaving the bar attached. In the photos, no matter how heavy my makeup was, it couldn't hide my pale complexion. His fingers lingered affectionately on the photos. Suddenly, he let out a scornful laugh. Her hands covered her eyes, and she laughed louder and louder. Tears streamed through her fingers. Su Chaofei, didn't you go off to live a better life? How did you end up in such a miserable state? Who told you to abandon me? You deserve all of this. I drifted to his side and sat down next to him. Since I deserve it, why are you crying? Shen Jianzhu thought of something and quickly dialed a number, his eyes fierce. Find out for me. Who exactly was the man who abandoned Su Chaofei? There was a moment of hesitation on the other end of the line. Mr. Shen, I've already looked into it. After Miss Su left you, there hasn't been another man. I sighed. I only told him one lie, and he'll believe it for a lifetime. Shen Jianzhu froze in place. He became completely lost in confusion. The person on the other end of the phone thought he had hung up. He spoke again, his voice hoarse. Then look into her parents' situation. The information was quickly sent to his phone. Shen Jianzhu glanced at it and nearly broke down. The year she left him, my father was killed by a fugitive. My mother went insane and passed away 6 months later. I lived alone in the slums. Shen Jianzhu saw the killer's face and his breath caught. It was no one else. He was the one who originally persecuted the Shen family, causing their downfall. At that time, Shen Jianzhu was the only one left in the Shen family, and he had fallen ill as well, in an attempt to force Shen Jianzhu out. The perpetrator intended to come and kidnap me. I will never forget that day. I was taking care of Shen Jianzhu at the hospital until evening. When I returned home, I found my parents lying in a pool of blood. I turned to run, but the kidnapper grabbed my leg and dragged me back. The murderer used my phone to send a text message to Shen Jianzhu, asking him to come to my home. Shen Jianzhu arrived as expected. The killer held a knife to my back and forced me to lead him upstairs. I stood by the window and said cruel words to make him leave, which angered the killer. As he raised the knife to kill me, my mother woke up and knocked him unconscious. We immediately called the police, but when the killer regained consciousness, he beat us half to death and escaped. After my father's funeral, I was afraid the killer would come after us. I took my mother and left home. I thought about calling Shen Jianzhu to warn him about the killer, but my mother found out. She had a fit of madness, blaming Shen Jianzhu as the root cause, accusing him of causing my father's death and ruining our family. I took her to many places for treatment, exhausting all my savings, but I still couldn't cure her. After she left, I fell into depression. I also thought about ending it all. I attempted suicide 3 times, but was saved each time. Later, I discovered I was 7 months pregnant, and the baby was almost due. She was tenaciously clinging to life. I desperately wanted to live again. Later, I found out that the murderer had been sent to prison by Shen Jianzhu, and I no longer had to live a life of hiding. If it weren't for the child, I might never have looked for him. But Shen Jianzhu, living is so hard. In the end, I couldn't make it through that winter 3 years ago. Shen Jianzhu found it hard to breathe after reading. He clutched his chest tightly, sobbing uncontrollably. All of this happened because of me. I didn't know. I really didn't know. I shouldn't have believed those things, shouldn't have ignored you. It's my fault, all my fault. I raised my hand wanting to wipe away his tears, but the scalding tears passed right through my soul. I wanted to pat his head again, but as I reached out, a small hand overlapped with mine. My daughter had woken up at some point and gently patted his head with her small hand. No crying, let the pain fly away. This nursery rhyme was something Shen Jianzhu had used to comfort me back in college when I fell and got hurt during an 800-meter run, and I cried out of shame and embarrassment. He had coaxed me with those words in the infirmary. I comfort my daughter the same way when she's upset. Shen Jianzhu's tears instantly overflowed, and he cried like a child. Through tear-filled eyes, he looked at his daughter and asked, "Did your mother say anything to you before she left?" The daughter tilted her head and thought for a moment. "Mama told me not to be afraid. She was just taking a nap." Shen Jianzhu's heart-wrenching roar. His entire being was consumed by despair. "Your mother must hate me deeply. I have resented Shen Jianzhu for my parents' death. He doesn't acknowledge his daughter, and I've resented him for it, but I have never hated him." I shook my head through tears. "Shen Jianzhu, I don't hate you." Suddenly, Shen Jianzhu opened his eyes, sat up, and began searching around frantically. "Su Chaofei, is that you? Su Chaofei, I stood before him in astonishment. Could he actually hear? The daughter stood barefoot beside him, echoing his call. Is that you, Mama? Watching them, one big and one small, with identical expressions and movements, my heart trembled, and I was just about to speak. Shen Jianzhu gave a desolate smile, his eyes filled with lifelessness. Why do I have this illusion that you're still by my side? The daughter held his hand. Uncle, have you found Mama? Shen Jianzhu looked at her face, a glimmer of light appearing in his eyes. I will find her one day. Are you willing to come with me? The daughter nodded, picking up the lunchbox on the table. Then, when you see her, can you add a little more sugar? Mom said that carrying sugar on a bitter journey makes the days feel hopeful. Shen Jianzhu nodded with tears streaming down her face. Okay. Shen Jianzhu took her daughter home. Indeed. He really knows how to take care of others. Under his meticulous care, our daughter has become fair and tender. I am very pleased. The decision to entrust our daughter to his care was indeed the right one. Shen Jianzhu contacted the dean again to ask where I was buried. He learned that I didn't have the money to buy a burial plot, so my ashes were placed in the columbarium. He took his daughter and came to pick me up. Then he buried my ashes in the backyard of the villa. He and our daughter planted my favorite lilies of the valley with their own hands. He was afraid I would feel lonely by myself. He also built a small swing nearby for our daughter. He wanted our daughter to keep me company whenever she had free time, but my daughter didn't like it. She only liked the red sofa that Shen Jianzhu had brought back. That shabby sofa looked completely out of place in the luxurious villa. Shen Jianzhu took our daughter to pay respects at my parents' graves. After bringing her home, he knelt silently all night without saying a word. Later, he would go to their graves every few days to burn paper money and kneel through the night again. During the day, he acts as if nothing is wrong, dropping off and picking up our daughter from school. In his free time, he sits by my grave and chats about the fun moments from our relationship. I'm really worried that his health won't be able to handle it, but today, he seems a bit off. He stayed in his room and never came out. I went in to check and was shocked. His arms were covered in scars, and I had no idea when he had cut himself. I was furious. What is he trying to do? After finally reuniting with his daughter, is he going to abandon her again? Stop it, Shen Jianzhu. I desperately grabbed the blade. The knife fell, and my soul grew more transparent. Shen Jianzhu panicked. Su Chaofei, I know you're here. He didn't hear my response. He frantically searched for me throughout the villa for an entire day, shouting until his voice grew hoarse. The servants all thought he had lost his mind. Shen Jianzhu came to my grave, rummaging through my belongings over and over again. The items I left behind were few: a small wooden box, an old sofa, and a letter. He turned it over and over again. He complained with grievance. Is there nothing left for me? Not even a single word. Su Chaofei, how cruel you are. At that moment, his daughter came running over like a gust of wind. She was wearing a little floral dress, her smile radiant. Dad, can we save the sweet and sour pork ribs for Mom today? Daughter has already accepted Shen Jianzhu. Shen Jianzhu gazed at her features with deep affection. Of course we can. A gust of wind blew past. My form dissipated. Shen Jianzhu stared at the gently swaying swing, his eyes red. Shen Jianzhu extra. Su Chaofei came to see me. She looked very thin. Clearly the man behind her wasn't treating her well. I thought I would feel a sense of satisfaction, but inexplicably, my heart ached. I thought she wanted to come back, but then I saw she was holding a child in her arms. I was so angry I nearly vomited blood. If only she would say she missed me, I would have crawled back to her like a dog. But why did she have to humiliate me by bringing along the child she had with someone else? When she said the child was mine, I almost went crazy with anger. The child in her arms looked only a few months old. We had been separated for 1 year, 7 months, and 3 days. Does she really think I'm stupid? I said things to humiliate her with money, but seeing her reddened eyes, my heart softened, and I thought raising her child with someone else might not be so bad, but she said the money wasn't enough. I angrily threw 50,000 at her. She walked away without even looking back. I followed her all the way, and she never turned around. I thought about it, and decided to just let it be, but after returning home, for some reason, I inexplicably built a children's room and bought a lot of toys. I waited for a year, but she never came again. Later, she came again. I was overjoyed. She opened her mouth and asked for money. All she ever thinks about is money, money, money. When I first started dating her, I didn't realize she was so materialistic. I told her to get lost. Make her disappear from my sight. She said if the money was enough, she could disappear. I laughed in anger and said she wouldn't get a single cent, but when she lowered her head, my heart softened, and I gave her 100,000. Why don't you say you want to be with me? I have plenty of money now. But she took the money and left without looking back. She has such a cruel heart. Do you really think I care about her? I don't think about her all the time. I walked the red carpet with celebrities in a high-profile manner. I held a high-profile engagement banquet. She no longer appears. I know, she really doesn't love me anymore. I no longer do meaningless things. This is just fine. She called me. I wanted to hang up, but somehow my finger slipped and I ended up answering the call. She didn't say anything. I should have hung up, but my finger just couldn't press the end call button. I just wanted to see what tricks she was trying to pull this time. I wasn't thinking about her, but it was her daughter who spoke. Her voice was so cute. She must look a lot like her. Her daughter said she was asleep, but I kind of wanted to see her, so I made up some excuse to get her to come, but the one who showed up was a skinny, dried-up little girl. Her eyes really do look like hers. I didn't dare to look too long. I was afraid I'd see someone else's shadow in this little girl. How did she raise her daughter? Making someone dig through trash. Making someone sleep on the sofa, making someone get that thin. But then again, it makes sense. She can't even take care of herself properly. How can we expect her to take good care of others? I'll hold her daughter hostage. I don't believe she won't show up. It's been a week. Her daughter has gained weight. She still hasn't shown up. Turns out she's not just cruel to me. She's cruel to her own daughter too. I feel a bit more balanced now. Later, I found out that her daughter was hiding trash in the sofa cushions, and she said her mother had never tasted anything delicious. How is that possible? Didn't she go off to live a better life? My sister said the small wooden box her daughter was holding was an urn. I panicked. I saw that letter. With just one glance, I didn't dare read any further. Why does it read like a suicide note? None of this is true. Su Chaofei just went to her grandmother's house. My sister noticed again that her daughter looks like me, and C is my daughter. I am lost. What have I done? I want to find Su Chaofei. I want to ask her in person, why isn't C my child? Why did you abandon me, and then abandon our child as well? The empty house had long lost her scent. The director of the welfare institution told me that before Su Chaofei died, she entrusted her daughter to her. Su Chaofei is dead. I don't want to believe it. I tried to find evidence that she is still alive. But I am so desperate. I learned that every time she came to me, she was standing at the edge of despair, crying out for help. Oh my God, what have I done? I refused to believe her, because I couldn't bear to see her with another man. I didn't dare to investigate her. For the sake of that so-called dignity, I refused to back down. I pushed her into a corner. What made me even more desperate was, I learned the truth of her departure. The family of 3 died because of me. I am the sinner. I feel so guilty I can hardly breathe. I cannot forgive myself. I brought her home. I want to follow her and atone to her and her family. I hide in the bathroom, slicing through my flesh layer by layer. Only pain can wear away my guilt. But the knife slips from my hand. I was holding it so steadily. It was her. I called her name, but there was no response. She wanted me to live. I spoke for a long time in front of her grave, numbly sorting through her belongings over and over again. She is so heartless. She refused to leave anything for me. My daughter suddenly appeared in my sight, calling me Dad. When there was no wind, the swing by the grave swayed. My eyes were red from crying. Before, her daughter was her reason to live. Now it's mine. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.